Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about two different Starlink mini mounts that I've tried. The first one is a stationary mount to be mounted directly to the surface of your truck, your camper, your RV, or your roof rails or your roof rack. And it's great for in stationary use or in motion use. The second one would be this type of inexpensive mount that utilizes just your pole mount that comes with your Starlink Mini, and a couple parts from Amazon or some other online store. So let's see what these two have to offer. All right, friends, our first option here is the Quick Fit model from Smart Touring Systems. They're out of Australia. It's a very solid unit, mounts directly to your roof or to your roof rack or to your roof rails. And in my case, I used VHB tape to securely mount it to the camper. It's probably not going anywhere, and I just jinxed it with that, I know. But a couple of standout features of this model is that you can use it in motion, obviously. You can use it camping. With the top up, I've gotten good signal, good throughput, even with the Starlink facing supposedly the wrong direction and at the wrong tilt from the Starlink app. I still got plenty of download, and I'll pop up a graphic right here of the throughput I've been getting, even facing east instead of northwest. So here is the button to open the unit. If you want to reposition your Starlink, say you're in the shade and you just can't get it, there's obstructions, you just pop it out. Here's the $45 Australian piece of plastic, which is really overpriced, but will protect the Starlink from any damage on the trail or from other debris and hail, etc. Starlink just sits in here, and I'll give you a closer look here in a minute. But I really like the fact that you can just lock this puppy up like that. It comes with two keys. You lock it like that, and it's not going anywhere. So if you pull into Walmart, you don't have to worry about someone ripping this off your vehicle. In terms of costs, it's spendy. It's $320 delivered to the US. As of December 15th, when I paid for this with my own money, this is not a sponsored video, this was, $320 delivered to Northern California. At the time, there was no tariff. If you go to the Smart Touring Systems website and you order this, you'll see it's in $470 Australian with shipping, with the optional protective cover. But getting here for $320 with the currency conversion, I think is a very competitive price here in the United States. There's a lot of other units that don't feature the removability that this has and the security that this has. I mean, this is so quick just to pop it open. You don't have to take it apart. There's no screws to disassemble. And it's not a permanent installation if you don't want it to be. So for those reasons, I think that this is a really solid value. So let's take a closer look. Inside here, you pop it open, and it has, I think, very nice metal work and how they put this together. So you've got the rubber bumpers for the lid to control the tension when you shut the lid. So there's a compression when you shut this lid. Coming down and push down, you hear that click as it's resting on those two big rubber bumpers. So that's reassuring, with trail vibrations and everything. Locks onto that lip. And when you close it, those screws that hold that lip in place are concealed. So that's helpful. The lock itself isn't anything special, and if someone knew what they were doing, they could probably defeat it pretty quickly. But let's take the cover out, and we'll pull out the Mini. Just flip your Mini over, pull your power cable out. Now the foot isn't attached here, but you can leave the foot in here in case you want to take your Starlink out and set it away from the campsite on the ground somewhere. It does fit. I just don't have the foot in here at this moment because I'm going to be connecting the pole mount in a minute to show you how that operates. Underneath here, I have covered up all of the mounting slots with Gorilla tape just to protect the VHB tape on the other side that's double-sided from any moisture intrusion. And then of course the cable just goes through this provided hole. And let's look at the rubber bumpers here on the inside. So your Starlink rests on these 4 lips, and each of them has this rubber, bumper that has, it compresses as you have your Starlink on there. But it is, I think, very well protected inside this lid. Looks like I had a little spider trying to move in there. So in terms of real world performance, we just got back from a trip where we went about 600 miles there and back and had InMotions the whole time, used it at camp, it didn't move, and it was a nice feeling of security to know that this was going to be hard for someone to steal and hard for them to get into without defeating this lock and breaking the hinges over here. So it's a good deterrent, and it's safe, and I recommend it highly. I mean, I think, after the being off-road, being on the highways, being in, just stationary parked anywhere, and still getting the signal in various orientations, it does what it's supposed to do. And I would definitely think that you could benefit from having this type of mount if you wanted an in-mount system and you wanted a secure place to keep your Starlink in urban environments. Okay guys, option number 2 is a quick and dirty, inexpensive mount for at camp only. You can't be in motion, obviously. So what you have is the ball mount that goes into the T-slot rail on your camper. Hey guys, this is Tony from the future. So lesson learned, the rubber ball version of this, the shorter one, snapped at the ball right here at this little thin point when I inadvertently grabbed it as I was deploying the top of my rooftop tent open to camp. And so I don't want that to happen again, so I'm going to upgrade that part, and I would recommend that you get, it's just a second one of the metal ones that we're using on the pole mount, because it's metal all the way through, will be much more robust, and will probably stand up to any inadvertent grabbing of it while you are deploying your tent and maneuvering the long arm around if there's any weight issue, if it's windy. This is just a better and more robust solution. So I'm going to proceed with the installation with this new part. And then this will be used as an adapter to go to the Starlink pole mount that comes with your Starlink Mini. And then you need a long arm double ball arm like that. So you start out by marking a spot here on the underside of the pole mount where you'll drill a 1/4 inch or 11/64 inch hole for the T-slot to go from here through the back. So let's do that. The positioning of that hole is important because you want the T-slot to anchor in against that channel. When you go to tighten it, it'll lock in, and you won't have any trouble with it coming loose. You put your grommet. Tighten down your ball, and as you tighten it, then that is locked down like that, self-locks, and it is not going to come off anywhere. So let's get up on the roof and get the rest installed. So we'll start with our ram ball mount into our T-slot, tighten it down, and there's a rubber grommet there. It is really solid. We'll take our Starlink, and first you're going to put your cable through here, or you won't be able to put the mount into place. Plug in our cable, snap in our pole mount, grab our arm, get that started here, grab the Starlink, put that in there, and voila. So now you can directionally point it wherever you need to, and whatever angle you need to. Just make sure you leave enough slack for your cable so that you can direct it and point it wherever you want to. And then when you get where you're going, or you're going to leave camp, boom, you just take it apart. Easy peasy. Try not to drop anything like that. And this just pops out of here quickly. That. Pull out your cable, and you're good to go for what other installation that you want to use, or to put it back in its little case. So if you're wondering about the wiring, I'll show you how I did this. You just want to make sure there's enough slack. This is just a cheap gland I got off of Amazon, and I used the double-sided VHB tape, the same tape I used under here. I just cut it to fit around the lips here, and then used lap sealant, the leveling lap sealant all around it and in the hole there, because there's a little slack with the Starlink cable. And I'll show you how I ran it inside. So inside the Lonepeak camper, this is where the cable comes through the roof, and I just Gorilla taped it to the roof to come down here and then meet up with and run along all of the existing power wires that are in the Lonepeak, all the way down to the front right corner over here. So the gray Starlink mini power cable runs alongside the existing solar power cables from the solar panel that Lonepeak had installed, and I'm temporarily just running it down like this to my battery setup as I build the bed out. And there is the Starlink Mini pulling 19, 20, 23 watts as it fires up. It is running on USB-C. I changed the Starlink Mini plug to a USB-C just before it reaches the battery. All right, guys, let's wrap this up. I think that these are two really good options, very different price points and have different particular uses. I like the fact that you can move this around and direction it. It's only about 30 bucks in parts. And this one, again, $320 USD delivered, but it's secure, it's lockable, and you can get your Starlink out of it very quickly to reposition it in the field if you don't have a signal at your particular camp. I want to give a shout out to the Overland Calling YouTube channel. This was his idea, and I don't want to take credit for it. Visit his channel. I'll put a link below. Please use his affiliate links to buy these parts if you'd like to. I really appreciate you hanging around. Maybe we'll see you on the trail.